Hello, and welcome to the Argyle Digital Marketing Leadership Forum, CX/UX Optimization 2024. My name is Nick with Argyle, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. I have some important information to share with you, and then we'll turn the floor over to our esteemed opening keynote speaker. First, we would like to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, SilverTech. Our sponsors are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. At any time during today's event, you can visit their virtual booths from the main agenda page, which include complimentary materials, information, and meet and greet opportunities. We also welcome you to stay socially connected during today's event. For those of you who are active on social media, please use the hashtag ArgyleDigital and follow us at Argyle Exec Forum. Also, be sure to follow Argyle on LinkedIn for special announcements. I would like to take a moment to touch on our content neutrality policy, which we have curated based on the feedback we have received over the years from our members. We have worked closely with our speaking faculty to ensure that you receive a set of balanced and neutral viewpoints during the session today. And we appreciate our members' support of this policy. Finally, and most importantly, we want to hear from you. So during each session, we encourage you to submit your questions and comments in the Q&A box on your screen. Following each presentation, we have set aside time for our speakers to weigh in on your questions. Thank you again for joining us today. Now, let's get started. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Mary Considine, Chief Marketing and Development Officer, Acenda Integrated Health. We're super excited to have Mary for her opening keynote presentation titled Tailoring Strategies for Diverse Audiences. Welcome, Mary. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm really excited to be here today and thrilled to actually spend the day with Argyle. I've been looking at the rest of the content today, and I'm excited to, listen in on those sessions as well. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Mary Considine. As Nick mentioned, I'm the Chief Marketing and Development Officer at Acenda Integrated Health. We are a multi-location behavioral health organization located in New Jersey. I'm also a part-time marketing professor teaching in graduate marketing programs, focusing on digital brand management and customer behavior. So I'm really excited about this topic and thrilled that I get to spend the morning with all of you. So welcome. We'll start a little bit about, I titled this slide, We Have the Tools, but Have We Lost the Touch? I think that we have been very lucky, the past 5 to 10 years, we've really been able to boost our technology. We've been able to reach consumers in a way that we've never even dreamed of before. And just the sheer amount of tools that are accessible to us have really taken us to another level. I think that when we look at the balance between high tech and high touch, probably the past 5 to 10 years, we've gone way up in terms of high tech. Not sure if we've all calibrated up the same way with that high touch approach, making sure that we're offering that human connection, that authenticity, and that transparency. That's really what the consumer is looking for, whether you are a large budget, big budget, a small organization, multinational corporation, selling products, business, B2C, B2B, everybody's looking for that authenticity and that human connection. And so how can we pair these fabulous tools that have made us so much better at what we do with that human connection that people are really craving? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Really talking about authenticity, which is being genuine, being true to who you are as a brand, transparency, being open, being honest when you're communicating, and adding in that human connection, which is really what we all want. We all want to be heard. We all want to be valued. And it's really important for us to amp up our marketing and making sure that we're adding these 3 elements in everything that we do. And these aren't just buzzwords. These are things that are going to help drive growth and take our brands to the next level. So, I put here in this slide that data alone will not build that connection, and always remembering there's an art and science behind it. I think we've gotten really good at looking at the data, analyzing that data, but how can we better integrate that human connection and that humanity into everything we do? Oh. I don't know why that slide looks like that. I am not sure. There we go. I'm not sure what that was. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about empowering our digital success. What are some easy kind of low-hanging fruit things that we can do to kind of make this work today? I think storytelling is really key. And how do we tell our brand story, I think, is really important. Oftentimes when we're working in digital, we're working with really short spurts of information. Sometimes we're working on some longer form content, but for the most part, we're working in pretty, short things. So how do we integrate that storytelling? And we'll talk a little bit about that. Always be honest about your products, policies. I think that's obvious. I think we all probably do that. Prioritizing the consumer experience, I think, is really important, and we're going to focus on that. And then certainly we all know by leveraging social media, I think that is, there's a person behind that. And I think that, most of our audience knows that there's a person behind that. So that's kind of an easy way for us to really integrate that human connection, which is really through our social media. So let's talk about storytelling and how we can integrate that. Think about your brand story, your authentic brand story about your brand. I'd love to hear from you. Definitely throw in the chat. When you think about an authentic brand, what brands do you think of? Are there particular brands that are constantly showcasing themselves as authentic in your eyes? Definitely feel free to share those. There is some research. Breakthrough Marketing, a US-based marketing research firm, puts out a brand authenticity report every year. And let me say, we have some of the brands for 2023 are names like Lego, Crayola, Costco, Patagonia, North Face. I think some of these brands probably won't surprise you that they are deemed as authentic in terms of how they message and how they market themselves. So really it starts with your brand story. And this isn't something that you're revisiting. This is something you're really looking at. Are you telling people your brand story in all of your marketing? Is your focus on real people and real stories? Are you using authentic visuals, being transparent and honest? And certainly sharing behind the scenes content. I think that this is one area, again, this is easy. It doesn't matter what your budget looks like. A way to really humanize your brand and humanize your digital marketing is certainly behind the scenes content. I think that, I don't know if anyone was watching the Met Gala last night. I was watching the red carpet, and it's interesting how you're on the Vogue YouTube channel and they're showing you the glimpses of the behind the scenes and getting to talk to people about how they selected what they were going to wear and all this stuff. Now we don't get to attend the Met Gala, but we did get the glimpse behind the scenes, and so I think sometimes it's taking your consumer behind the scenes, whether that's having them meet other staff members that they might not see all the time, like here's our HR team, or or even taking them to meet some customers if you're retail shopping in the store and getting to kind of explore that more human and behind the scenes connection, which is oh so important and really a very easy way to kind of amp up that storytelling. Engaging in conversations and being vulnerable. I think we all make mistakes. I do love sometimes when I see an email from a brand where they did something wrong. I might notice it, I might not notice it, but then later you see something from them that's an oops, and really acknowledging what they did, kind of poking fun at themselves. And really, again, not trying to shy away from a mistake or doing something silly or wrong. I think that, we're all vulnerable. We all make mistakes and we're all genuine. And I think we really value when a brand can kind of showcase that for themselves. And obviously empathy and consistency. I think being very consistent on all of our channels is really important. I think sometimes if we're working on a large team, we may have multiple, marketers working on those different platforms, but making sure that they're working together to kind of create that unified brand voice is oh so important. You don't want one channel to sound different from the other. Again, nothing takes the human out of it like that. So, I said we were going to talk about storytelling and the experience, right? Those are really the two real big things that we really want to humanize, and we can see some big results from. And one of those things is really the consumer-centric design. I can give a great example of something that we did that really made a big difference on our website. So we're a behavioral health organization, and we really, we're focusing on services and programming. We're trying to get people to come into our outpatient counseling services, or we have some hospital intervention services. We do lots of different things. And really, for us, how people find what we do on our website is very important. And so typical of most organizations, healthcare organizations specifically, we are, listing our programs by what the program does. And we did some research and looked at some of the kind of the back end journeys of people who visit our website to really find that they didn't know what they were looking for. And in many cases, there were multiple programs and services available to them. So we did a test where we changed, instead of putting the type of service, like things like outpatient counseling, et cetera, you can search those. So we have multiple ways to search. But the primary way was identifying yourself. Am I looking for adult services? Am I looking for services for children? We do maternal health. So am I looking for services for new and expected parents? And changing the way that we laid out our programming and how people find our programs was tremendous in how we were able to really drive more people to our website, drive more people to our programming, just by making that switch. And that was about looking at what the customer wanted, not necessarily what we thought was the best way or how most people are laying out their programs and services on their website. Personalization through data. We certainly talked about, the importance of our tech tools and data and, the benefit that they've really brought us. We are able to provide a much better experience, to our customer by utilizing these tools. I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We know how to identify the right person at the right time now. And we're able to deliver the right content to them. So certainly those tools are very important to enhancing and making our user experience more human-centric. Proactive communication, certainly having consistent communication is of utmost importance, and providing some sort of 24-hour support. Now, I know lots of organizations, aren't able to do this, but just having a means that if someone has an issue or has a question and they're up at 2:00 in the morning, don't make them have to wait. At least have a email, a form, or something where somebody can do it at that time. If you're relying on them to call or a chat that's not available, if those are the only ways for someone to reach you, you're really going to kind of miss that, again, that connection and providing the best experience. Feedback collection. I mean, there's nothing better than feedback. Really utilizing that in all areas. We can even go back to storytelling. There's nothing better than having a story be told by your customer. And how do you best get that? And that's really through feedback collection. So how do you know what they want? Feedback collection, so important. Your transparent policies, your social engagement, continually improving and empowering employees. Empower all members of your team, empower your social team, empower, it's not just your customer service team that's going to be the ones that are reaching out to the consumer. It's going to be all levels. So making sure that there is that personalized approach where all employees feel empowered to provide the same level of service is absolutely vital. And we really want to make sure, it's great. We might be able to bring people to our website, have people engage in our social, but we want to truly make sure that they're able to utilize our platforms. They're able to understand what we're saying. And so it goes without saying, we really need to be ensuring a level of inclusiveness when we are trying to be authentic, transparent, and human. And how do we do that? We're looking at diverse representation, making sure materials are really speaking to our entire consumer base. There's lots of ways that you can do this. In my office, we actually keep a spreadsheet to ensure that we are utilizing diverse representation in all of our marketing campaigns. This way, we're able to kind of reflect back and see, what worked, what didn't work. We have this pretty basic internal spreadsheet, but it really helps us to maintain that diverse representation and ensuring that we are, that when you look at our marketing, you're really seeing yourself in it. Whether it may not be that particular campaign, but certainly would be another one. We're really trying to be reflective of those that we serve. Making sure the design is accessible. There's so many tools out there now that can really help make sure that your website is accessible to all. And, I would encourage you to get an audit to make sure that that is happening. Same with language diversity. It's very easy to even add a Google Translate on your website, just kind of having that little extra to help out, a customer that may not, English may not be their first language. And this way they're able to benefit, certainly from your website and other tools. And then accessibility tools, very important, making sure they're on all of your platforms, and being sensitive. I think that's one of those things that, I think we all know, but, it takes work and we have to make sure we're doing that work. One of the things to really mention in the case of inclusive marketing is making sure that you have the expertise in-house. And if you don't, making sure that you're really utilizing and working with a partner that can help bolster that expertise. And this is usually a partner that has, proven experience in this area. A lot of, agency might say, oh yeah, we know this, we do this every day, but really making sure that you can see and that you're working with a partner that's really going to help kind of bolster your in-house bandwidth in terms of creating inclusive marketing. Looking at research, community engagement, certainly being a part of the community, being a partner in the community, sponsoring events, having your employees participate in different community events is certainly a great way to be more inclusive. And then just continuous learning and improvement. I mean, we certainly know that, we are living in a rapidly changing world in terms of marketing, but how can we make sure that we're learning at all levels? So making sure that there's some, continuity and continuous learning and improvement. It's just so important. But why do we even, care about all of this, why are we here today? I mean, I think we're all here in terms of driving growth and increasing revenue. And when we look at authentic and human-centric marketing, what can that bring us in terms of revenue? How does that help us to, be more successful? Certainly, it's brand trust and credibility. Those are such important factors, I think, to all of us when we look to purchase something or engage with a brand. We want to engage with brands that we trust and have credibility. And so, there's a lot of things that go into that. And I think it's, as keepers of our brands, we need to ensure that we are, doing things that, have our customer trust us. And sometimes that may mean, taking a stand on something or not taking a stand on something. I think, staying true to our brand We want to make sure that, we're taking stand on things that are meaningful to our brand. But maybe, again, that doesn't have to be everything. It has to be things that are, again, going to build trust and credibility so people know what you stand for. Loyalty, when you build loyal customers, you're going to have a customer for life. And a differentiator. I mean, I think we all know competitors in our marketplace that maybe don't offer that human connection and do feel slightly out of touch. We don't want to be, we want, to be the one that is, available to us. And then obviously reducing acquisition costs. I mean, we all know, it costs more to find new customers than it does to keep your current customer. So we certainly are looking for growth drivers. So that's definitely something that we want to focus on. We have some questions here, and let's see. How can brands effectively maintain authenticity and transparency in their digital marketing efforts, especially when faced with the pressure to constantly innovate and engage? And I mean, that is such a great question. I think that, when we're really trying to balance kind of who we are and all this new technology and innovation, I think we have to be careful, and I think we have to make it a priority. I can give you a great example. I was having lunch with someone who does a very similar job to me. And of course, if you're not about AI or even in marketing, so we were certainly talking about AI. And she mentioned to me a new tool that her team was using that takes the AI generated content and makes it more human. So it's another AI platform that takes the AI generated content and makes it more human. And, I really, yes, that's an innovation. Yes, it's probably maybe a good platform. But I think when we're talking about doing things like that, I can't help but think it's almost like a clone. It looks the same, it feels the same, but maybe it's just like a little weird and a little off. And I think we have to be careful with that. So removing that human element has to be a priority. And I think we have to make the business case, to our leaders, that we have to make the investments in this and that we have to make sure that it's a priority. And even though, innovation, growth, engagement, all of these are priorities, that if we're able to also take the time, effort, and resources into creating an authentic and transparent brand, it's going to help us from a business sense and drive growth. So it's certainly something that we should be prioritizing. Let me take another question here. What are some common pitfalls or mistakes that companies make when attempting to personalize their marketing efforts, and how can they be avoided? I think here, I think we can all think of some of those. I think I'm not going to name any brands, but I think it's not being who we are and trying to be someone else. So when we're searching to be an authentic brand, it means being who we are. So when we talked about what are some of those brands that we think are authentic, and why, we can't necessarily be those brands. I work for a healthcare organization. We can't be Wendy's on social media. I mean, I do appreciate the social media team over at Wendy's. I think they have some really, they use humor, sass in their social. We certainly can't do that. So, if we were trying to kind of jump on that trend as an organization, it would just fall flat and would certainly not be who we are. So I do think one of the most common pitfalls in terms of trying to personalize and be more authentic and real is trying to be somebody else who is authentic and real to their own brand. So it's really finding out who you are and staying true to who you are and what you want to be. I think that's so important. Any suggestions for social media marketing if you don't have the budget to pay for any ads? Well, yeah. I mean, I think that there's so much that you can do in terms of content. I'm not sure what type of organization you work for, but is there a way that you can add some, thought leadership content or engage in conversations that others are having on social media? Maybe some larger brands or some, larger, thought leaders in your industry. I mean, can you add to their conversations? Can you integrate yourself in an authentic way into what they're saying in terms of social media, and really even creating some content that you could put on your website and share with others might be some ways, again, depending on what industry you're in. But think about, what are those organizations that are out there and those kind of thought leaders in your industry? How can your organization have a voice in what they're saying? And that, again, if these are high profile enough people, you may be able to really get some reach that way. Definitely a way to put no money into some social media and create some, really authentic conversations and connections if you don't have a big budget, because you don't need a big budget for any of this. I think that's what's so important about this conversation today. It's not about a big budget. It's not about a small budget. It's not about a big organization or a small organization. We're not talking about platforms, specific platforms and pieces of technology, because I think we all are using different things. But all of this can be implemented across all channels, no matter what you're using. It's really about, seeking that connection and being very authentic and creating value for people. It's such an important piece of digital marketing. And I put here, it's like the heart of authentic digital marketing, because if we aren't who we are, then who are we? So I think it's really a question that we need to kind of ask ourselves. And if we are getting pressure to, do things maybe in a more inauthentic way by leaders, it's really our job to identify, the business case for our particular organization on why it is so important to make the investment in, authentic and real digital marketing. And again, that doesn't mean that we have to be another organization who maybe does things a little bit differently. You have to look at what it looks like at your organization. So again, I'm in healthcare, so we have to be relatively serious in what we do. We can't, do some of the crazy fun things that other organizations are doing, but that's what works for their brand and what's authentic to their brand. Again, it's very important, for all of us to be who we are. And so if I missed your question, because I'm getting things that it's almost time to end here, I really would welcome you to, let's keep this conversation going. I think it's a really important conversation. I think we just kind of touched on it a little bit today. Trying to kind of fill this in 30 minutes is challenging, because again, we could speak all day about this very topic, but we have so much more to learn today and so many more things to do here at the Digital Marketing Forum. So we are going to have to, end this session in the next minute or so. But I'd love to continue this conversation. So, definitely let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's learn from each other. I'd love to know what you're doing, what your brand is doing to create, a more authentic, human-centric, digital marketing and just overall brand identity. I'd love to learn more about what you're doing and certainly share with you what we're doing. And I did just want to leave you, certainly with this, in this ever evolving digital age, we must remember that behind every screen, there is a human seeking connection, authenticity, and value. Let's embrace the opportunities to build meaningful relationships, to listen and learn from our customers, and to, most importantly, create experiences that matter. So it was really fabulous to get to spend the morning with all of you. And certainly I look forward to engaging with you a little bit more as we continue this all important conversation, and enjoy the rest of today. So I'm going to send it back to you, Nick. Thank you so much, everybody.
Great. Thank you again, Mary, for an excellent keynote. And I want to thank everyone else for joining us today. This session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. As a reminder, please be sure to check out the prizes and raffle rules section to see how you can earn points for the chance to win one of several prizes. Our next session will begin at 11:35 a.m. Eastern Time, which will be a panel discussion titled Customer Experience: Enhancing Customer Journeys Through Digital Experience. Please click the join button that will appear on your screen to be redirected to the next session, and we look forward to seeing you there.